Today's question is, what two moments you'll never forget in life are, and then the sub-instructions were to describe them in detail and say what it is about them that makes them so unforgettable. Hey, Kushla, welcome. I at first thought, well, that's just personal. What research can I do about it? And then sure enough, I got on the internet and found some stuff.
I was looking for the papers to see what you got.
Here's the paper. So I found a few different things. Things about characterizing what memorable moments mean and what they're about. There was a couple of places that it talked about 4 qualities of what makes a moment memorable. The first one was elevation. They're moments that lift us up above the everyday. They tend to spark emotions like joy, love, delight, engagement. And so they mentioned things like birthday parties, athletic competitions, cocktails with friends at sunset, that those things could be elevation. I could probably think of a few other things, but the second one is pride. These moments capture us at our best. Everybody has a stash of personal mementos from life, and they're things that would be valueless to anybody else, but to you they're priceless. A lot of those things you keep, you just can't bear to throw away, are mementos from a moment of pride in your life. They're certificates or rewards, plaques, nice letters someone wrote about you, ways of commemorating great work that you did or talents that you have. The third one is insight. These are moments that rewire our understanding of ourselves or the world. Think of realizations, epiphanies, or aha moments. I actually had that in another spot too, I didn't see that. And then the last one is connection. These are the moments that tie us to other people. Sometimes it's in a personal relationship, other times it's in groups. It's something, working on something really big, like a group that works on a big project and then they find themselves stitched together in life. Sounds just like the people in the group mentorship program. These are people that are forging relationships they're probably going to have for the rest of their lives. So that's 4 of the qualities, I guess, of memorable moments. Then I found a few things like why, like what makes them that way, and I got that they leave our life's path undeniably changed. They help shape our identity. Or they create the meaningful connections, or they give us perspective. They can be beautiful, enjoyable, unusual, moving, or unpleasant. They can be internal, like injuries or illnesses. They can be external, like career or relationship changes. And then they come as epiphanies, realizations, and aha moments. Those are the things I found to describe about them. And then I just made a list of things that have served for different people as these kind of memorable moments. And then I thought we could just share about our own moments of change, aha, memorable moments. What about you? What are your thoughts about this subject?
Yes.
All right.
Now, I'm writing them down as they come to me.
Yeah.
Because I had 0 opportunity to think about this question.
Yeah, well,
since yesterday.
We have been a lot busy. And we did get, someone took us up yesterday. Hey, Six. Hey, Mary. Samantha, nice to see you. Took us up on the offer to send us a written up version of their moments. And so we'll get to those in a minute. Thank you. So I'll run down a couple of these in case your memories need to be jogged, as our memories needed to be jogged, right? So things like getting married, getting divorced, starting a new job, quitting a job, beginning a new business partnership, starting your own business, paying off a debt, finishing school, starting your career, retiring from your career, losing a loved one, being with someone at their moment of passing. Having a baby, or anything related to that. There were a lot of comments and things I found on the internet of people's moments, most memorable moments having to do with babies, either ones that mothers had, siblings who remember clearly when their baby sibling was born or brought home, that those were very memorable moments for people. I was too young for that. Backpacking through Europe or any trip like that. I've heard people talk about things like going to Thailand for the first time, or anytime traveling abroad has the potential to be those sort of life-changing epiphany moments. Getting to take a semester in another country. We just heard yesterday from Lace that her niece is getting ready to go in high school and spend a semester in Italy. That sounds so exciting. Running a marathon, an Ironman, anything that's a major physical challenge that you do and you finish. I did that, and it definitely stands as one of those moments. I'll never forget crossing the finish line of the marathon that I did. It was a very challenging run, and there were moments where I wasn't sure I would make it, but I did, and I crossed the finish line, and it is one of those moments, no question. Even if I practically crawled to the refreshment tent to inhale 2 oranges and a Gatorade to get my electrolytes back in balance, because I was having a problem with my electrolytes.
Awesome. Searching. Thank you. Certification at work to put letters behind my name.
Right on. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Please drop them in as you can, as you go.
Yeah, if you can drop them in, because we talked yesterday about some of these stories may be too long to tell here. Yes, Princess Leia. I've seen pictures of Princess Leia. She's beautiful. Pets are definitely moments that are memorable moments. Getting a pet, unfortunately having to lose a pet, and moments that I've had are having pets have babies, right? Seeing litters of kittens or puppies born, or if anyone's had the fortune of seeing a baby foal drop, or animals like that be born. Those are memorable moments. Performances, especially first ones. Anytime you did your first piano recital, or you did your first major concert or a dance performance, or had your art hung in a gallery somewhere. I'm still trying to process that experience, quite honestly. Let's see. Challenging life happenings can also be like this. Car accidents, being assaulted, watching someone pass, witnessing accidents. I know we don't like to talk about those things, but they can also be very imprinting moments in a person's life. I have one of those too. My family and I were driving late at night back from a state fair, and we got into an intersection just in time to see a car flip and engulf in flame. And what happened was the knowing that whoever was in there didn't have the opportunity to get out. And it was a really jarring experience. I don't know how to describe it other than to say it's very memorable. I have the visual that I'll never forget that moment. The only thing that I could do then was pray, because that was the only option available to me at that moment. Buying your first home, joining the military, leaving the military, zip line, bungee jumping, things that are like skydiving, things that are scary, that push you to try something maybe that you're a little afraid of. I mean, some people are adrenaline junkies and love to do that stuff. Any one of those things would be a big push for me, and would probably have I'd have the same takeaway as I did from running a marathon. I've said someday I will jump out of a plane, especially once I found out that you have to do it tandem the first time. Somehow I thought when you jumped out of a plane, you just jumped out of a plane like all by yourself. Like, I don't know why I thought that, but
I bet that's fair.
And I thought I could never do that, but I suppose I could do it if I was like connected to someone and they were going to pull the cord.
Hopefully they had the parachute.
Yeah, Mary, I know. I'm silly sometimes. Yes.
There's been some more good comments. I've had the opportunity to talk to many Holocaust survivors and carry their stories with me. Scuba diving was dope. Also having your mentors becoming great.
Yeah.
And then there was one here by Sexy Scuba. Do performance scenes count? My partner and I did a powerful rope scene at an event. It's something I will never forget. Suspension scene, not just rope. Beautiful. Absolutely.
I mean, and of course we keep trying to tie these topics back, show how they tie back to BDSM, and there's lots of... I remember the first time I let anybody put fire on me. I had a lifelong fear of fire. When I heard that fire play was a thing, I thought, who on earth would do that voluntarily? Seemed ridiculous. Seemed ridiculous to me.
You were like, nope.
Exactly. It's exactly what I was. Nope. And then somebody talked me into just, the thing that we do, the heat transfer just on my arm. And I was like, okay, that's all right, but I couldn't see going any further than that. And then finally I got up on a table and I let somebody do it, and it was okay. You know, it was nice. It was like a warm massage, which is like what tell people. And now I'm a fire top. Go figure. Literally, like I had
and a good one too, a very good one.
Thank you. Yeah, no, my whole year of being 7 years old, I dreamt almost every night of my house burning down, having every variation of it. The house would be on fire. I'd be inside. My family would be outside. There'd be a fire. We couldn't get out. We would all be on the outside. And sure enough, when I turned 14, we did have a house fire. When I was younger than that, I loved to cook. I learned how to cook early, and we had a gas stove. And I was cooking pancakes, and I had put the oven on very low to keep them warm. And what I didn't realize is that the pilot had gone out, but the gas was still on. I had no idea the properties of gas. I think that's LP gas in stoves. And then I realized it was out, and I lit the match, and I went to restart the oven that was full of accumulated gas, and it blew up in my face. Literally, like my eyebrows were singed, and the front of my hair was singed, and I was freaked out. And it took me a long time before I could even light a stove again. And I'm so grateful now that most all stoves have either pilot lights or they come up with those long sticky lighters, so I don't have to deal with that again. But all that being said, I'm still a fire top, and that was pretty exciting. So the first time I ever let somebody put fire on me or got on a fire table were memorable moments. So there's lots of memorable moments in BDSM. Any of you who have seen firsts or seen that were memorable, throw those in the chat too. Yes, the long stick lighters are definitely the best. I agree.
It's about letting go of what makes us uncomfortable. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Welcome, Obsidian. I love playing with fire and fire dancing.
Yeah, we have friends in El Paso that do fire performance. They're perform. Ooh, ow! Scalded my whole torso spilling spaghetti water as a teen. That would be memorable. Ouch. Yeah.
Trinity's a fire dancer too.
Oh, really? Awesome.
And I saw a video of her out in Cali doing it.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool. That's it. Now see, there I am with my fire stuff. When we went to El Paso and hung out with them and you guys all did a fire thing outside, I was tired to begin with, but it was so unnerving to me, I just had to go in and go to bed. I couldn't even stay and watch it. You were going to do it and you were getting involved, and I was like, oh my God, somebody's going to get burned. I was like, I couldn't even. A fire hooper. Wow, that's cool. I don't even know what fire hooping is.
It's like, I believe, a hula hoop.
Like a hula hoop with fire on it?
I believe so, yeah.
That sounds crazy.
Mary, I guess I do remember the first time I fully let go, first time we met at DocCon.
Yeah.
Awesome. Seeing a flogging scene to music is beyond beautiful. Oh my goodness. Listen, we do an event called Rhythm and Beats, which I've turned into a class, which I'm going to take to different conferences about rhythmic flogging and being able to adapt to what's going on just by training and practice.
Yeah.
But that is Saturday night, one of the most memorable things, one of the most beautiful things I had seen. We did Rhythm and Beats, and it was classical music that Kat curated. And if only I could record the event, because it was such an incredible witness of synchronicity and intentional kink on a personal, paired, and group level. It was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. Really, really cool.
I was really nervous because classical music doesn't necessarily have a driving beat like rock and roll. And I put it together and I felt good about it, but as we got closer, I got nervous that it wasn't going to work, that people weren't going to be able to like find a groove, and that it was not going to feel good the way it had felt, right? But it did.
To do it to classical is advanced technical skills.
That's true.
Like you have to be able to adapt to what's going on, and that's what we were teaching in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, because I think you knew it was going to be like that. You had a sense of it. So, as always, you specifically guided people in the direction that was going to let them be the most successful in the event that night, which was awesome.
I want to flesh that out so we can take it to Claw.
Yeah. Speaking of Claw, someone said that watching you, Florentine, that flog it at Claw was a memorable moment for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Obsidian, that's beautiful. The first time you laid eyes on your wife, that's a beautiful moment to be able to remember like that.
It's a whole different experience. Also can be very dangerous though. Yeah. I'm getting closer to the actual Florentine. I can use two at a time.
And they don't bump into each other. I love that. I love that. Yep, that's the progress. Yeah. Okay, so where are we at here?
So we just went through the list. We started sharing, and then we got into kink first.
Yeah, I like the idea of kink firsts. I mean, I remember my start in the kink community. I have a visual memory of a party that I was at with my then mentor, who was the host of the party. And I remember him taking the time out of the party. Yes, that is 4-point flogging, sexy sub. That's exactly what Florentine is. There's other points too, but the basic 4-point is flogging.
There's 6-point as well. And then there's a reverse 6, which Malik, man,
Thanks,
I'm on to you. He started training with us 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Attending some of our educational things, and he's really technically inclined.
Yeah.
And he picked up the floggers right away. He picked up the 4-point right into the 6-point, and then he showed up and started showing off with his reverse 6. Malik, I'm coming for you.
Master Hurricane, I didn't realize we were already down the light bulb rabbit hole today, but that's all right. I like being down the light bulb rabbit hole.
So, one of mine is the covering ceremony. The process to getting the covering ceremony, when someone reached out to me and said, "When are you going to cover Kenzo?" And where's that list of 4 things? The elevation was, it made me realize that I am important to people and recognized as someone they've learned from. The pride in that, it was also, it felt good to not be in the shadow like that, right? Like the boogeyman. But for someone to say, listen, it's your responsibility and your right.
Right. It needs to be done and it's yours to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the third was the insight that came from that was the awareness of self-value. Not perceived by me, but perceived by others. Because I was wrong the whole time. But I didn't know that. And the connection was the validation that it brought to other people and brought to the community.
The validation of
them as leaders.
Of them being leaders and being recognized. Yeah.
And people that I mentored.
Yeah, you mentored all of them. Absolutely.
So that was one of my kink ones, and then with this one coming up Saturday, it's just it's to continue watering that plant. That it is true, it is real, and there's, what's the word? Not forgiveness, self-forgiveness. Not self-forgiveness. There's a word that has to go in there.
And reconciliation comes to mind.
I think that's closer to the word. Let's see. Went down the. That's nice when you can do that and then do the fire dancing hand in hand. Let's see.
Lace says acceptance.
It was more around me realizing that I was wrong and giving myself grace. To not beat myself up for carrying that for years, and to not feel bad for not having thought about it because what was going on in my mind.
Yeah.
And it was like someone cued you in and you took it. Good.
Yeah. But I mean, there are times in life when people are caught up in feeling less than or not worthy or whatever, and it's completely fabricated, right? And then they need to be walked out of it. Like they have no real reason other than a lack of security, a lack of self-esteem. You had reason by virtue of how you'd been treated, how you'd been it didn't come from nowhere that you felt that way, right? Like, things were done, said, you were put upon in a way that anyone would have walked away for a period of time feeling the way that you felt, right? And then I get it, then being able to come out from under it when someone sort of extended you a hand and said, hey, why don't you do this? Doesn't this need to be done? And then you could step into your value.
It makes me think of a person carrying an umbrella, and the other person said to me, why are you holding an umbrella? It's not raining.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right, just through that gesture.
But it was raining when you opened the umbrella.
But it comes back to the discussion we had, I think yesterday, the day before. Your opinions about me don't matter.
They're none of your business.
They're none of your business. None of my business, right?
Right.
And it's like, even though it was affecting me at every level possible, the ability that finally came around, that I look at it as lessons and awarenesses. I get it.
Yeah. I get it. Of course, Obsidian says maybe they need the shade.
Right? Obsidian also shared their second story. The second for me, when my mom died in our home in hospice, it was so peaceful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. I've been lucky enough for a couple people to pass on my watch. And I say lucky because it really does feel like a privilege to be there for someone when they're in their final days. So if you ever have that, if that's ever brought to your door, don't deny yourself that opportunity, even if it seems scary or seems uncomfortable. It is one of those moments in life that are worth doing, and you carry with you, no question. I have two moments that I thought of. One, well, I'll let you guys decide how to qualify them. But the first one, and people have heard me say this, is when they came home and told me that my mother had cancer. I was 7 years old. We were in the kitchen of our house, and I literally remember them walking in. And I don't have a lot of memories from before 7 years old, but I very strongly remember we'd moved into the house, we'd moved from one house to another house right around the end of June, the beginning of July, and it was a new house. It was on 1 acre. It had a big in-ground pool. It was really exciting. We had a huge 4th of July party, with all these kids came over from the neighborhood and we're all swimming, and there weren't a lot. I didn't grow up in a rich neighborhood, and there weren't not everyone had a pool in their backyard, so it was considered kind of a big thing that we had this pool in our yard, right, and an in-ground pool at that. And then literally in that next week, they came home from the doctor and they sat me down in the kitchen and they said, Mommy has cancer. And I can't tell you that I knew what that meant at the time, but I knew that it wasn't good, and it was certainly a life-changing moment. It was all of those things from the not so positive side. But what I can tell you all these many years later is that whole experience made me who I am today, and I wouldn't change that. And from the standpoint of suffering that you pay forward, I have had opportunity throughout the course of my life to help people grieve and to help people understand loss, especially somebody close. When you lose a parent, when you lose a child, when you lose a spouse, it's a particular kind of loss that unless you had that loss, you don't really understand. It's like when you've lost a parent or spouse and you're in that kind of pain and people say, oh, I'm sorry. Like when I was a kid, my mom died when I was 11, and people used to come up and say, oh, I'm sorry. And I used to get so angry inside because I'd be like, what are you sorry about? You didn't do it. You didn't, you didn't make her die. So what did you, that in that way, it felt like they were saying, like the word sorry meant like there was some culpability, like you had done something wrong and you were apologizing. And I didn't understand that people were just trying to convey whatever condolences they could. And I was 11 and angry. And, but it is a particular experience that and at 11, I didn't know that many other people who had lost their mom. There was one other girl in my neighborhood who did lose her mom, and it was very different circumstances, and she was in a very different place than I was, and we weren't close friends, even though we were on the same sort of street as one another. But I didn't know other people to be able to like get consolation from, or get someone to say, I'm further down the road than you, this is what it'll be like, this is what's happening for you. And I've been able to be that person for people, and I'm grateful for that. So I feel like in some ways that was some of my suffering allows me to help other people in theirs, and that has value. So anyway, just hugged you and made you coffee. I love that, Hurricane. That's awesome. So that's one experience. Did you have any experiences that got triggered for you in all of this?
No, let's see. Lace says, I was with my father when he passed. Master Hurricane said, best experience I've ever had was when I lost my child. A friend came over and didn't say anything. Just hugged me and made me
I didn't see the first thing. Yeah. I'm sorry, Hurricane. And I use that term now. That's one of those pains that I don't know, right? I know that losing a parent or losing a spouse is a particular pain, but from what I understand, there's a very particular pain that comes from losing a child. If for no other reason, then there's this sort of existential sense that a parent is supposed to outlive their child. And so when a child dies first, there's a sense of injustice, that it wasn't supposed to happen like that.
Let's see. The next says, I went through that and I was able to understand that my stepkids, because they went through that too.
Yeah. There's so many ways that the challenging experiences, the moment, the memorable ones that are not comfortable and not fun, uniquely outfit us to help people who come after us who suffer the same thing. Yeah. So that's true.
Let's see, I'm thinking about another kink one.
I remember the first time you suspended me.
I was looking at those pictures.
Yeah.
Actually, the tree.
No, it was before that.
Was it in the club?
It was in Decadence, yeah. It was in the rig.
Was that the...
You walk in, it was on the left-hand side.
Was that when we did the fast video of it?
I think so. I remember we had colored lights on or something. Yeah. I also remember the one where I was a bad bottom and I ended up getting numbness in my hand that I didn't tell you about fast enough. And that ended very poorly. And it was scary for both of us. I mean, you got angry, but I understood because I didn't know enough, I didn't understand enough, and by the time I was aware of it, it was already, that's the thing that we say, if it goes bad fast. Suspension is one of those things that does that. And I remember that. I remember walking around like hoping that the tingly numbness I was feeling was going to go away, and of course it did. But I took a big lesson away from that about the importance of the bottom, the responsibility that a bottom has for their own safety and welfare, and that no one, including the top, can know better than you what's going on in your body. And that was a big lesson I took away from that experience, and one that I pass on anytime I can, because it's dangerous. It was tough. Oh wow, your partner suspended you inside of a covered bridge. I bet that was a moment you wouldn't forget. I think covered bridges are beautiful anyway. I haven't seen that many of them in my life, but you see pictures of them like in New England, and they look so quaint and pretty. But I can't imagine being suspended in one. That would be cool.
Let's see. Hi, Lourdes.
Hi, Lourdes.
And Obsidian says, hello, Lourdes. My partner suspended me. Oh, we just
on the covered bridge.
I'm actually my husband's rope bottom because it brings me peace.
Yeah. Yes. Any kind of, I remember the first time you mummified me head to toe, right? I was in the middle, when I had my club, it was a very stressful time. My husband had passed, I was on my own, I was barely solvent, I had so much to do, all the time. I was literally stressed out to the point where like being stressed out seemed like the only normal state I knew. And one day you just took me in the back in the middle of the day, like, because I was in the club a lot of the time.
We lived in
we lived at the club for a while, for almost a year actually. So one day in the middle of the day, we weren't having an event or anything. You took me in the back and we laid out one of the sofa beds into a bed, and then you wrapped me head to toe, my head and everything, and just laid me on the bed and essentially walked away. Now I know you didn't like walk away from the terms of like leaving me stranded or abandoned, but you like gave me the space to just be in it, and it brought me like such a sense of calm. It slowed me down and emptied my mind and gave me a sense of calm. I won't go so far as to say peace, because I didn't really have peace back in those days, but a calm that I didn't know how to get to on my own. And I know you took pictures of that. Yeah, did you take pictures of it? But I remember it. I really remember that experience. So I have a lot of BDSM moments that were memorable for me. You have to have some.
So when I think about memorable, I think about things that the minute that topic comes up, those are the first thoughts that come to mind, as opposed to having to search through and remember things. But I'm running through my head.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh yeah, you read it.
Yeah. So yesterday we had encouraged you, if your stories were going to be too long, to write them up and send them to us. And Master Hurricane, with your permission, I'm assuming you sent this because it's okay. I'm going to read one of those stories now.
Just give us a thumbs up to make sure that it's okay.
I'll wait for that.
Or 1,000 hearts.
Yes, you may. Okay, 1,000 hearts. Thank you. Okay, so this here's the story. I was working in the film industry from 12 to 20 hours a day. A lot of times we didn't even get sleep. They kept extending the shoots to where we ended plus 8 months on film set with those hours. I was beyond exhausted. I stood there watching as they were filming, planning on extending it again for a month, and I said to myself, I need a break. I need to get out of here before I break myself. I got onto the phone, called a friend, and asked if I could rent their place out for 2 weeks, booked my plane ticket, walked up to production, and said, I'm done. I walked up to my partner at the time and told him we were leaving, and went straight home, packed, and got onto the airplane. We landed in an area called George. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but that's how it's written. And the place where we were staying was an hour's drive, coastline around. As we drove, peace started filling me up, and I could visually see and feel it as it filled me up. I started becoming light and radiant, and for the first time in my entire life, I felt like myself. Looking at the ocean as we drove and knowing that this is where home is. I've never experienced a place as home such as I have with that. I remember stopping at the only traffic light that entire hour of driving and looked at a heart next to the road created out of mosaic pieces and started crying, and then said, we're moving at the end of the year. End of the year came, and we did move, and then that feeling of, if you put your power, your mind, and your energy and everything into something, you can make anything possible. I achieved peace, and I'll never forget that. Since then, I know what it should feel like, and if my life isn't up to that expectations of feeling that peace, whether it's from a person, a place, or a job, or anything else, then that does not deserve my time or my energy. For that, I want to say I am not one to love unconditionally. Instead, I love intentionally. But for that feeling and place, I do have unconditional love. Because that feeling, I left that narcissistic and physical abuse partner and started growing onto my own life rather than someone else's. And for once, I had a voice and stood up for myself. That's a beautiful story. Thank you so much for taking the time to read that and share it. So,
just want to make sure we're not missing any comments.
Yeah.
One of the other lifestyle stories is when I decided to explore myself, and I was so ashamed of having shame around my own body exploration. That was a pivotal fucking moment. Like, where's that list?
It's on the backside. Oh, that list, yeah.
The elevation was self-pleasure. It was the idea of giving myself permission to enjoy my body. Like, to really self-care, essentially. It's like, it's my body. The pride that I captured from that was actually moving past the shame and walking the walk. The insight is no one's going to give you permission to do it So let me give you permission to do it, right? It's like people need to hear that. It's your body. Do with it as you want. This is particular to butt stuff. It's like explore yourself.
We call it hand puppet.
Hand puppetry. Self-hand puppetry. When it comes to self-hand puppetry, do yourself the favor and explore yourself. Take a glove, take lube, do it in the shower, make sure it's water-based, and give yourself permission to provide self-care and self-awareness to your body. And then the insight is the connection that I get to make with people who have shame around it, who I talk them through the process. It's like, listen, dude, I don't care that's your ex. Let's talk about it. And then we talk about it and they're like, oh my God, you're right. I'm like, listen, man, I had to discover it too because no one told me.
Right.
And it's like...
A lot of the things that you share with people come out of that model that you talk about, like nobody tells you, nobody told you, nobody tells us. Whatever the thing is. And then you discover it and you want to run and tell everybody, hey, look at this thing that nobody told us. Look what I found over here.
These specific words strung together.
Right.
It took myself years until I met my husband himself as well. Sometimes you need the right partner. Yeah.
That's true too. Aww.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Mary's saying really nice things right now, in case you hadn't noticed about us. And I'm grateful. Thank you, Mary. Mary G, the OG. Awfully young to be an OG, Missy. I have another one that I will share because we've stretched into this time, and this was the moment that I became aware of myself as an alcoholic. I was alcoholic from the jump. I just didn't know it. And I went through life. I knew life was unmanageable. The first step in the program that I attend says that life's unmanageable and that you don't have any power over alcohol. And I knew my life was unmanageable from the moment they came home and said, hey, mommy has cancer. Life was pretty much a train wreck for me in my own experience of it, right? But I love drinking. I started drinking then. I drank whenever I could. I thought drinking was the best thing ever. I loved everything about it. I went into the restaurant business. I became a bartender by the time I was 18. I'm really good at it. I'm still good at it to this day. And then, my first husband, he and I, was like a big drinking, using sort of shit, like it was bad. And then that ended. But when that ended, my takeaway from that was he was alcoholic, right? And so my takeaway was, if I stay away from alcoholics, then I'll be okay, right? And I didn't drink for a while. I stopped drinking because the whole thing disgusted me. And I was like, well, I'm not drinking. I'm getting my life together. I went back to college. I didn't drink for probably like 2 years. Went back to college, blah, blah, blah. And then one day it seemed like not a big deal. And I remember picking up a drink. But I can tell you in hindsight is I also made some sort of internal conscious decision to start searching for another husband. Don't ask me what that was about. But it's right around that same time, like Perrier became a cocktail at the bar with my friends that after work, because we all went to, we were all restaurant people. So restaurant people go to bars that take care of restaurant people, right? Where you can get great big drinks. You don't have to order doubles. They give you free shots. And because you treat them the same way when they come to where you work, right? But I drank Perrier for like 2 years doing that. And then one day I was like, I'll have whatever I ordered, I forget. And it was literally like the quietest, like no big deal moment. I remember it because one of the people in our circle, who I didn't know had this vested interest in me not drinking, heard me order a cocktail from about 4 seats down and practically reached over the bar and told the bartender, she doesn't drink, don't give her a drink. And I looked at him, I was like, it's all right. That made that moment memorable only because he made it memorable, right? Found the other husband, moved across country, life unraveled. I was drinking more and more. My life was unraveling more and more. I was making no connection to my life unraveling, to the bags of recycling of bottles that I was taking out every week to the recycling. Like I could not make any connections, right? That marriage crashes and burns. Now I'm going to therapy. I have some other issues, like my orientation is finally like up to the surface, and that's an issue. And so I go see a therapist at the LGBT Center in Berkeley, and the only thing I require is that this therapist believe that bisexuality is real, because in those days, at least, there was a lot of bias from both sides of the fence that bisexuality was made up,
There's
that we were just on the fence, that we were trying to play both sides, whatever. There's all this stuff that it's like not real. So it needed to be a therapist who believed it was real, because I needed to work through that, right? So it turned out, though, that incidentally, my therapist was sober, right? Who'd have figured? I wasn't looking for that. So it started to be this thing where I was going into therapy at 10 in the morning, and I would argue with her. I would say, I don't have a problem with drinking. And she'd look at me very calmly and say, okay, and like wait for me to continue talking about whatever we were talking about, right? And I did this a few times. And then after therapy at 10, I would drive over the Bay Bridge and go into San Francisco proper to go to a gay CODA meeting, because I had gone back to CODA, because codependency was something I had related to from the time I was in the first, like by 20, I was probably going to die of codependency at that time before I would have alcoholism. So here's the moment. I'm on the bridge driving to the city, and in my vision, literally like in the entireness of my vision, is a cocktail. Now, did anybody see the movie When Harry Met Sally? Every time they go to a restaurant, she says, I want this and it has to be like that, but don't give me any of that and da-da-da. I was like that with the drinks that I ordered near the end of my drinking. It had to be vodka. It had to be in a big glass with a lot of ice, but a lot of it, but don't make me order a double. It needed to have an eyedropper full of cranberry. Don't put a smidge more. Don't put any fruit in my drink. If you mismade it, I would send it back. Like I was that girl, right? So in my vision is this drink, and it's in a beautiful glass, and there's got all those the beads on the outside when a drink is like perfectly made, and literally floodgates opened, and I started bawling like a baby, because the awareness came that was my best friend and had been all my life. And then the awareness came that there is only one category of person on earth that could possibly feel like that about that.
So like you were picturing the perfect cocktail.
It wasn't like a daydream. It wasn't like it wasn't like stream of consciousness. I thought about the other night and then I was thinking about it. Was literally like a vision that landed, bam, out of nowhere, right in front of me.
Can you give me something like that we've seen in a movie that's comparable to that? Because sometimes, like when it's hot outside, I envision a fucking frosty margarita.
Oh yeah.
But like.
No, it was 11 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving on the bridge on my way to a 12-step CODA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
No, not a thought in the world. The last drink I'd had was a half a glass of champagne the night before because I was at work and that was what was available. I didn't feel that well. I went home and went to bed that night, got up to do this therapy. I was dealing with whatever issues I had going on. My marriage was ending. I had cheated with a woman. I was in love with her. Like I had all this stuff going on that had nothing to do with that. And literally it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen any kind of a movie where something like literally just comes out of the sky and like lands, right? And just
like it was real, like you said, grab it.
Right. Like that scene that you've seen in Odyssey's the space when the monolith comes down right out of the sky and it just lands and everybody goes, "Oh my God, what is that?" and it changes the course of history, right? That opening sequence. It was like that for me. That glass fell into my vision. The feelings came. The connect, it was crazy, and it also at the same moment had the awareness that it was being taken. I got off the bridge, and then just as miraculously a fork in the road appeared, and I could either keep doing what I was doing and keep getting what I was getting, or I had been in recovery circles before, even though I didn't think they applied to me, and now I understood that was the only other path for me, was to go do what they did, go where they went, do what they did, and just do all the things that you're supposed to do when you do that. And it didn't seem like a choice, because I was really sick and tired of being sick and tired of anything that I had been able to figure out on my own. It was a life-changing moment.
I feel all the emotion coming out of you with this story. Like this one, you feel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a life-changing moment. I never look back. I'm very fortunate. I'm one of those people that didn't have to drink again in order to begin to change my life, and that's been true for me for the last 30 years. And but I'll never forget that moment. That was we in my friend circle, we call that a white light moment. It was one of those like literally divinely inspired moments because I didn't make it up. It wasn't a stream of consciousness. It wasn't one of those, sometimes when you have a moment that's a stream of consciousness where some ideas sort of come together. I've watched you do it. Different ideas that you've had all of a sudden come together, and there's like that spark of a moment, and then all of a sudden you have this aha moment, right? That's a sort of organic shifting around of things you know inside yourself, things you've learned. This had nothing to do with that. I could not of my own have ever made that happen. I could never have all of the things that I had inside of me that were brought to bear in my belief system. I could never have come up with that on my own.
Wow.
So there's my big story.
I have a story of validation.
I like those.
Suffering imposter syndrome about my worth and ability within my former profession. And when I got the call to work that contract, and I was the guy they called, that was like super validating and eye-opening for me. When it was an aha moment. It was like, oh shit, you're the guy they're calling. Of course you're worth it. And I let go like 8 years of anger and resentment and self-doubt.
Was there imposter syndrome up until then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a big deal. I don't think I've ever heard you say that story. That's cool.
It's one of those NDA things,
Oh, what, to tell us you'd have to kill us?
Yeah, I'd have to do the Klingon. Which one is this? Not the Klingon thingy. The Spock.
Oh yeah,
thing.
yeah. But I think, to me, that's actually an argument for the value of external validation. Sometimes we do need external validation. Sometimes we do need somebody to lean in and say, good job.
Another moment was the affirmation moment, when I realized why people need it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was jaw-dropping. That was like, I felt disgusting at that moment because I went 40-something years without understanding the significance of giving people affirmations, because the perspective is, if you're supposed to be doing that, why do I need to tell you good job? That's what you're supposed to be doing, right? And that's how I was raised. It was like my parents were like, your responsibility is to get the highest score possible. Right? No pat on the back. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, that's your responsibility. So the math for me, right? It was like, that's fair. My responsibility as the child is to do this. And it was like, I didn't get many affirmations as a kid. And I think I'm just saying that out for the first time, realizing that.
Yeah.
Because I had responsibilities. And good job wasn't something I heard often.
That's a big deal. Probably bigger than you made it out.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how that could, where does that trail off to that I'm unaware of? So that's one of those odds. We just had one right here live.
When you're ready to have that conversation, we'll have that conversation.
No, tell me.
Sixer Says the Vulcan Death
Vulcan Death Grip.
Or the Vulcan Nerve Pinch.
Thank you, Six.
I like that. We always have you to set us on the straight. I appreciate that. Yeah, Samantha, that is when we break the cycle, right? When we have a moment when we understand that the way we were raised around whatever wasn't the only way to be, and that there maybe could be a better, kinder way to do something, and then we don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, so
and we don't have to treat the people around us like that anymore. Right? People who break cycles of abuse, people who break cycles of trauma, and that you have to do your own work to do that. Right? Like, if you don't do your own work, I have had to do a lot of that. What? You had a moment.
Let's keep going.
No, it's true. It's like, and I've talked about my friend before who was terribly abused and has made very conscious choices to tackle her own trauma, even when it's painful, even when it seems impossible. And she's done everything that she can do to make sure that she doesn't visit upon her children what her parents visited upon her as a child. And I have nothing but the highest regard for that because I know how hard it is. So to any of you who are breaking patterns of abuse or breaking patterns of childhood trauma, you have my nothing but my support. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Mary, no doubt. Like, and sometimes when we start doing the work and we're around people who don't want to do it, it does mean, like, I got to move you to Pluto and I'll love you from there, right? I know you all have heard my solar system analogy. We've done that on this call before. But yeah, sometimes you just have to move a few rings out from me. Yeah, it's sexy on Instagram. It's like, even just to try to be better than what you were raised, you know, that's enough to just do better than was done for you, however that looks. Like we that goes back, that back ends into my whole belief of spirituality, right? Like we're given a certain degree of spirit when we're born, and our only job is to leave this experience, to transition with this spirit in better working shape, or more enhanced or kinder, whatever, than it was when we got it. And then that's, you know, that's our reward. That's the whole of it. You know, I don't believe in like heaven and hell as places. I don't believe in any of that stuff the way I was raised, but I do believe that there's a sort of a cosmic soup, and our responsibility is to contribute to it by virtue of how we live this life and how we enhance our spirit. Yeah. We may not love that we were raised the same way, but it did make us great people who indeed do great things. It is a paradox indeed, Belixen. Do you want to share any of your... When he starts writing furiously, there's stuff going on.
Not yet.
All right. So I'm going to read one more story. Master Hurricane sent us a second story, so I'm going to read that now. And it says, the day I came back to social media, I was broken, hurt, scared, and lost myself in so many ways that I cannot describe it. I look back 4 months ago and I see an empty person. After my toxic and abusive dynamic/relationship ended, I decided to come back to social media and do what I set out to do for years, and being a person of the community and help people heal and grow within themselves. However, this time it took a very unexpected turn. I came back to social media, and all my friends immediately opened their arms and welcomed me back, and just from the get-go gave me the best support I could ever ask for. I then met and became close to the most incredible human beings that has shown me the way, that care for me and helping me grow and be better within myself. They didn't judge me for the good and the bad. Instead, they cherished me as a person, encouraged me to share my story, and guiding me through the hardest times. They gave me a safe place, a voice, a community, a family, a friend, and best of all, the willpower to continue this life on earth. These people, Mistress Rhiannon, Master Joshua, Kat, Mary, Natalie, the Kink Collective, Ina, Linda, Vix, Kushla, Pup, Shai, Rot, Tasha, Jennifer, and the list can go on. I found my community and my chosen family, and I will forever be grateful for each and every person for what you are to me. Just like I have found my feeling of home as a place, I have found my home and safety in each and every single one of you. I am honored and grateful to have them in my life and my journey going forward. For once, I do not have to settle for just being a giver and being open to receive what I have been putting out there for years. Thank you also for allowing me to share this and being there for love, support, and care. Thank you for your time and having that space for me. Lots of love, Master Hurricane.
Look, the repeat. What fucking time?
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think once again, like, you're going to end the hour. That was incredibly beautiful. I don't know if there's anywhere to go from there.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
You know.
Really nice.
Yeah. Thank you for all of you. I can't tell you how much I've gotten out of these last 2 weeks. You guys have allowed me to show up. You've allowed me to process stuff in real time. My like crying jag on, what was it, Sunday, or Monday, I think it was Sunday because it was in such real time. I literally was processing raw trauma in real time, and you all sat with me for the hour. You didn't turn off your You didn't turn your social media off. You didn't leave. You didn't like be, oh, look at her. You know, like there was no judgment. And I'm so grateful. Like this has been an incredible experience. And we have 2 more weeks of it. So really, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here.
So question to you guys. You guys either email us, message us, DM us. At the end of this month, we're going to sit back and review what we want to do next. And time slots is something we're considering. Frequency is something else we're considering because 30 days is a big investment. And we love it, but we want to make sure that we're moving the needle forward and just not repeating.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to keep doing this, but honest to God, 12 o'clock every day, 30 days in a row is a big commitment.
Very tough.
Because I can't commit to anything else during that time slot. But I love being here. I wouldn't change it. But I think we should find a more modified schedule after August to keep showing up, but not have to do it every day.
Yeah.
So we're open to suggestions. Again, go to kinkcollective.net. You can email us from there. It says, send us an email somewhere on the website, and you can literally just email us, kind of like Master Hurricane did to send us these stories. Please send us, your thoughts, your feelings, what you would like to see us do. We're also going to not revamp, but we're building out some alternative programs to the current mentorship program that's in the works.
Oh yes.
So we're looking at what it would be like to make the feeling of the mentorship program be a little bit more specific in topic and be a little shorter in time and duration, to sort of target different groups and their journeys. So Sexy Sub says they have Mondays and Tuesdays off. I like it. We're already getting suggestions. Mary, it does. It gives us time to prepare the material and have a breather. Every 2 to 3 days is a good thing. Yeah, so email us, right? I can't process this stuff. I won't remember a thing about it.
If you guys can follow Kink Collective on TikTok, Kink Collective, to get us over 1,000 followers so we can get on live. We're trying to move that number up to 10,000 so we can have video on that one, so we can do them both from Kink Collective. Instagram's on Kink Collective, but we don't have enough followers on
TikTok. On TikTok. Kink Collective. There it is. Thank you, Lace, because I guess K wasn't available. And so, so thank you very much.
What's tomorrow's question?
Tomorrow's topic is, let's see, 2 moments. What can you learn from your biggest mistakes? I think, right? Small act of kindness, thing you'd like to remember to, yes. What can you learn from your biggest mistakes? Oh no, this one. Did we ever do this?
Yes.
All right. So we've done all these.
So what's replacing this one?
We did this one already.
Yeah.
Because we had forgotten to do.
Oh, so this is the last one for the 14th because we get the new set today.
Yeah. The new. Yeah, these are the 7 questions for tonight. You can come join us tonight.
Join us at 6 o'clock. We'll be back on at 6.
Kinky Conversations. We'll be on at 6 o'clock on Zoom. So come on Zoom and be in the square and come and talk with us, because you can do that. You can.
I gotta update the schedule thing.
Yeah. So we can do that. Yeah, I know this work never ends. So at some point, can we post the Zoom link in social media? Is that possible? This is my ignorance. All right. I don't know if we can do that, but it's on the website. Go to kinkcollective.net. It's also on FetLife. The Zoom links are on there. Please come at 6 o'clock.
Oh, yes,
Master Hurricane says yes, you can.
Do we put it in the description of the body, or how do we?
Thanks, Lace. Lace is going to try to post it for you.
Awesome.
So there's 6 o'clock and 7:30. So there's Kinky Conversations, which are next week's 7 questions, and then there's a sticker with a link thing. We'll figure it out, and then come to Beyond the Collar at 7:30 to 8:30.
So to find us, you can find us on FetLife under Kink Collective. NY, is it Kink Collective?
I think it's Kink-Collective, isn't it?
Kink-Collective, Master Joshua NYC.
Miss_Kitty_cat.
Yeah, and everyone else is on there.
Yeah.
Also on Instagram under Master Joshua NYC, Kink Collective, all social media.
Come and visit. Thank you so much.
Yes, Master Hurricane, shoot.
People
yes.
talk to us about Discord.
But that's something else we'd have to learn.
Yeah.
And
there
it's
it
like,
is. Thank you, Lace.
I don't understand Discord. If I had a social media manager, someone who did everything, that would be.
Let me check with my new executive administrative assistant and see what they know about social media, because maybe they can get that started for us. Master Hurricane says that they can help.
Okay.
So reach out, Master Hurricane. Reach out again through email. Email us, and we can start a chat offline about that help. Yes, Randy, I agree. Too many apps.
Yeah.
But Mary says that a Discord would be dope.
Okay, cool.
We'll see what we can do. You guys have a great day. And their life is social media.
We'll chat soon.
Listen, I've taken everybody up that offers to help because I need it, and I'm grateful for all the offers.
The stress that it alleviates from both of us when we can actually focus on the things that we need to focus on and not the things we have to focus on.
Regardless of how good or bad we are at it.
Yeah, that would help immensely.
Yes,
so we'll touch base.
Yes. All right.
All right, thank you. See you guys in 5 hours.
See you at 6.
Feels like